What's up? What's up? What's
So we just
up?
talked for 10 minutes and you had the mute button on.
That was 3 seconds. That was 3 seconds. Don't do me. What's
Happy
up, you
Saturday, young
guys?
people.
Happy Saturday. I hope you guys are having a wonderful Saturday. Hope you are being productive. Get close. Get close to me. I'm sorry. I am so excited. Devontae is waiting in the background, waiting to come on, ready to share some knowledge with you guys. We are on the midday explosion, and this is a challenge that Antonio and I are doing for the month of January is to really get you off the sidelines, get you into the game, and really motivate you to do it. Don't stop. Don't quit. We are in day 7 of the new year, and that's what we want. We don't want you to do is quit your goals, quit your enthusiasm. We want you to keep the momentum the whole way through.
Yes, it's all about giving you tools to execute those goals. That's what this is about. It's about helping you. If you got questions, make sure you ask your questions. If you are stuck somewhere, make sure you ask, because we believe that the only way to get past those type of things is to seek knowledge. And we are bringing people that's going to be able to give you knowledge from their experiences to be able to help you.
Absolutely. So without further ado, I need you to go ahead and introduce.
What's up, Miss Johnson?
I need you to introduce Lee. I need you to introduce him.
I don't even want to introduce him. All right. I don't want to introduce him.
You just want to go straight
I just
to the
want to go.
conversation.
Let's go to it, man.
All right, Devontae, I hope you're ready. You're coming in, sir.
Hey, it's Devontae. What up? What up?
What's
What up?
up,
Y'all all right?
Devontae?
Oh, I can't say that. I can't say that. I can't say that. How y'all doing?
We are good. Pass me that remote. We are good. How are you doing this lovely Saturday?
I'm fantastic.
How
I'm
you doing?
excited to be able to be on this platform.
Well, good stuff. We're excited to have you. We're excited to have you. You want to?
I'm gonna just ask my first question.
No, you can't just ask your.
Why I just can't ask my first question?
Okay, go ahead. Come on.
I mean, ain't no rules to this.
What's up, Cody? I see you, Cody. Cody said, "What's up, Lee?"
Ain't no rules, man. That's the thing about building.
Hey, what up? What up?
All right. I got a question for you.
Hey, Tasha. Okay, I'm ready.
Why should anybody listen to what Devontae Lee has to say about real estate or being an entrepreneur?
Oh, you just hit him with the gusto
Out
early.
the box, baby.
Yeah, it came out swinging on that one. That was real. I think if I were to answer that question, you kind of really have to go back to see where I came from and just kind of the stalk of which I came from. I came from great stalk, being the first mentee of the Denmarks and, being under that tutelage. It has allowed me to be able to see stuff kind of from a different lens. So how I look at stuff, right, or how I determine stuff is more so basically I can think back to how we used to ride around. I was looking at my phone the other day and I looked at those from like 2015 and it was a picture and a video of me walking through a property with you going through like I think it was like a pre-foreclosure. I don't even know how we got in, to be transparent, now that I know what I know, but it was going through a pre-foreclosure with you, and I saw you in the picture and just seeing me behind and learning and understanding how unique of an experience that was at that time, and not really understanding that just being thoroughly engulfed in it had allowed me to have a keen eye on how I do real estate. Right. So to sum in the short answer is, I come from good stock.
I take it. I take that. I take it. I take it. I take it. What you finna say?
So Devontae, I remember you when you first started, and I remember you wanted real estate, but you didn't really want real estate. We just knew that you were really good at it, and you didn't understand at that point that you were really good at it. And you would say, what did you want to be, Devontae? What was your goal and ambition when you first started with us? What did you really want to do?
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember? Uh-oh.
Oh God. Well, I think for me, back then I wanted to be I thought by the time I was 30 years old that I would be a HBCU head coach. My ultimate goal was to be bigger than Nick Saban, but at Alabama State. All right. So I thought I would have college football coach in America, and I thought I had a best team in America, and we would beat them. So that was my ultimate goal. And you tell me, right? So like I can remember times to where I would kind of come into the office with Auntie Ashley, and we would sit there and we would doing real stuff, and I was like, "It's great, but you don't get too comfortable with me because I'm gonna go get me a GA job somewhere." So like, I knew that I would be a football. So I got my at Ramsey really as a volunteer at that point in time, and for most of the time, you be surprised how it worked out. But it's realistically current jobs. So I would go and I fill the water up in a water cow and put ice in the water, and then we used to have this thing because we used to practice at Lawson Field. So what I would do is I would have to run up the stairs once it would, it's fall time. So turn on, have to go upstairs, grab Coach Nelson keys. He'll always toss them at me, and I always get like blue and red, and then stairs, and I go turn the light on, but it don't make them because you gonna stay up there for right. Come down, and he gonna be like, "Well, leave practice." Like even in those times, it taught me how to serve it right and how it could really kind of push into this real estate field. So, but I didn't realize that I was learning the lesson even at that point. I just thought, well, it's part of being in football. So, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm a college football coach. So real estate wasn't even my thing. I wasn't studying it. Uh, and I thought I was doing a job at a certain point, but then I quickly realized that it turned into a lifestyle.
I know while you were under our mentorship, you did that first deal by your mama them house, by your mama and daddy house. And boy, you couldn't tell you nothing. I think you called off of work the day you did it. You probably missed a few days afterwards because you was like, oh, I just got a taste of some real money. You remember that deal?
Yeah.
Tell us about that first deal.
Yeah. Yeah. Nah, it was bad. It was bad. I remember so it was funny that you brought that up. That was a crazy time, man. I can remember how I even got started to that point, right? So before then I was wholesaling real estate, right? So that's what got me to finding that first deal. I was working with y'all, working in the office, and I don't even remember what I said, but yeah, we were out in the field. I was with Tonio. That was back during the times where we had the handyman, so we don't need to talk about them times. I just remember being in the truck with somebody, and I remember he took his pills and he drank some beer at the same time. Boy, I didn't know if I was gonna make it home that day, y'all, but anyway. But I can
Was the
remember asking
handyman driving?
Tonio, I was like, Tonio, listen, like I need to do something. Like I need to make some money. Yes, the handyman was driving. The handyman was driving, and we was headed to Home Depot. And I just remember because I was working hard. Like a lot of people don't understand. Like in order to start in this industry, you better get in using like sometimes you gotta use sweat equity to add value. We was headed to Home Depot, and his name shall not be named, but we was in the truck and I was a young pup, man, and I'm bright eyed and bushy tailed, and I look over, and he done had a hard day, so he popped his pain pill, and then he washed it down with beer, and I was like, boy, get me out of here because it's not gonna work out too good. So I can remember that happening, but anyway, like I remember being and how did this happen, right? How, how do you buy I might not know the answer to something, but I'm gonna ask the why, right? So she off of ceilings and doing that and putting up carpet and stuff, and I can just remember like asking why, and you told me, listen, there's a thing, and I was like, hold on, I don't understand that. I don't get what you're saying, but I went on YouTube and I typed in wholesaling, and wholesaling was the of it. Y'all gave me the basic concept of what it was or the act of selling. And I started researching it, and maybe like a day or so later, I can remember driving down to my parents, like by my like, well, there's a house that matches what the flip man was talking about. So I went and I looked in the house. I boarded up. You just walk in houses back then, for real, Fred. Probably should have been doing this, but I did. And so next thing you know, yeah, shout out. But next thing you know, I went in the house and I saw, okay, I probably could do something with this. So I went to my boy Eddie, which is still my best friend till this day. We kind of started together, and he was wholesaling back then. And I was like, yo, I need to learn how to skip trace. They telling me the next step is to skip trace this house. So he told me, you need to try that's them. That's them. You'll be able to find whoever the owner is. So I got on that's them, and the lady's name popped up, a number popped up. So I just called it, right? And I left a voicemail, and I think I was like, hey, my name's Devon. See this house that you have over here at Crestwood. If you're ever interested in selling, give me a call back, right? So I can remember one day I'm at school. Can y'all still?
Yeah, we hear you.
Oh, okay, I'm back. I can remember being there, and when I got that call, it was the lady, and she was like, "Yeah, hey, I got this voicemail from you about," right? And it was to the races at that point. I liked that time, but I didn't love hand from the right hand. So about that at that time, like me and Eddie, we would just kind of like have synergy together, working with each other on the wholesale side. So he would be like, Lee, you gotta go in and you gotta clean the house, man. You gotta clean it all, man. So like we would go in there sometimes, and but like the houses we would get under contract, we would go sweep them all up, and we would like clean it real good. Now I'm in somebody else's house doing this now. And we would sweep them up, clean them all good, take pictures of them, put them on Craigslist, and try to get them sold. We would put for sale signs in the front yard, right? People be calling the heck out of you too. Don't do that. I do not recommend that. But yeah, I ended up getting out one sold, which was it was off Frankfurt Avenue, because the lady had a mortgage on it. So I thought that was the end of the world, right? I was like, well, this got a mortgage on it, I can't sell it, and I let it go, right? I didn't know what I didn't know. But the next week, I got like 3 more houses under contract, right? The next week. I thought but I got 3 more houses under contract. Once I got those 3 houses under contract, I had found a buyer. We was going back and forth. I was asking Antonio and Ashley, like, what's the best way to what's next? What's next? So I was still basically just failing forward. I can take it back to the first house. The first house, the end buyer, he was just like the end buyer. He was just like, this is your first one, isn't it? And I was like, no, sir. How dare you tell me this was my first one? You have no idea, special. You don't tell me that. But silently, I be in Antonio and Ashley office like, I don't know what to do next, but I got the house, so we just gonna make it happen. But anyway, so back to the 3 that I got under contract. I have found EMD from the buyer. He gave me $500 EMD. I took it, and it started to become real at that point. And next thing you know, we got the closing day, and talk about what Auntie Ashley said. You know, I did show up to work. I did, and I had my suit on, but I came so that I could then go to close. Pictures in the office. I still got pictures of I wore like a maroon suit jacket and then like some khaki pants. But that day I made 2,000 off of each house. I made about $6,000. It was the most money I ever made in my life. I was grateful, I was thankful, and I was off to the races at that point, right? Because the whole time my parents ain't know what I was doing. They thought I was out selling drugs with Eddie, but we didn't do none of that. We was just out
Not
looking
with
at
Eddie.
houses. So
Eddie's so
next
wholesome.
thing you
Not
know,
with Eddie.
yeah, they was like, you've been around this boy a lot lately. What is y'all doing out here? And I'm like, we just going to look at houses. We just going to look at houses. So
Oh,
anyway,
man.
I made $6,000 off of that deal, and it was the most money I ever seen. I was like, my mom, my dad, mama, like, look at this. Like, I made this. Like, from doing those. He was like, did it again.
I think that was Tonio's favorite
But
question for
from
you.
that
Like,
point,
do it
that's
again.
how I found.
That was up, man. So
Yeah.
you wholesaling, you doing your thing. Let's
Yeah.
fast forward. When did it click, or when did it change mentally that you needed to start actually buying property to own for yourself?
I got you. It kind of went out like you said was so basically what got me going is eventually I started to get real good at wholesaling, just to be transparent, right? So like there would be times to where like between that start, I put it all the way down, right? We knew I went back to start coaching football. I decided to leave and go to Texas and be a graduate assistant. Well, when I came back, I remember actually having and I had called Tonio, and I was sitting in my first house that I bought, which we're gonna talk about. But I was pissed off because it wasn't working. And wholesaling, he had said, listen, you got it. Well, you said you got to do one thing. You gonna have to stick with it. And I think wholesaling is what you need to be. You can master it. So next thing I was like, hey, you know what? At this time, we y'all know me best that I could talk a cat else. So what I had to learn is to stop talking about certain stuff and making it good and doing it. So I switched over to wholesaling. Next thing you know, it got to the point like around 2019, 2020, I was doing by myself, y'all, about 30,000, 40,000 a month, right? So I can remember walking in and
That's
doing
big.
like around like the 2019, 2020 year. Yeah, like I probably took home in gross revenue like around 300 grand that year, right? But
Sweet.
with that comes taxes, and I didn't know much about taxes either. So like, yeah, the rest of it started kind of coming in with the taxes and like how actual business works, and a lot of people don't tell you about this. So in order to make that happen, like I had to start trying to offset some stuff, acquiring real estate. But I was turning and burning so much and wholesaling, really kind of just focused in on that I would get it and I would spend it. Right. I didn't know the difference. Like so when you talk about business, right, it's all realistically it's about profitability. You make $1 million in revenue, but you can also spend $1 million in revenue too. So what I
Absolutely.
learned from that is, well, okay, this is good. I'm wholesaling, but I'm starting from ground zero every time. So I got tired of starting from ground zero, right? Well, while I'm at ground zero, I don't have no money. So I leave on my side, and the reason why I've gotten creative today is because at that point in time, I still didn't have no money. So I was making money, but I didn't have no money. So what I learned was, okay, well, I still ain't got no money, but I'm wholesaling, but I need a foundation because I still got to pay bills and stuff while I'm doing this, like trying to crank out all of this marketing and all of just doing what the gurus tell you to do. So I remember my first property, how I got into burring and like just switching over. My first property was like 100% owner finance. Yeah, I ain't had no money when I did it, but like I didn't realize it was 100% owner finance. So I thought if I did it then, I could probably win. So I can remember I went to y'all actually, and I was looking to house hack and get into a property. And I was looking at a 4 unit over off of Vinesville Road for like $90,000, right? And I thought, oh my God, that's expensive. This is like it's terrible. I'm never gonna be able to afford this. So I started looking around for like just ways to house hack, and now one ended up being another one with it, right? And lo and behold, I had to work my butt off for that, right? And I didn't really appeal. Next thing you know, you look, I'm just out here jugging, out here moving, still wholesaling, doing what I'm doing. And then as I continue, the part about the wholesaling industry is the fact that it allows you the opportunity to find off-market properties at a deep discount, right? So one thing that I could do is I could find deals with the problem, right? I just had no money, right? So since I know I better have gotten creative. So I can remember uh there was a deal to where I had two houses. Both of them were in Green Acres, and the guy was asking $20,000 for both, right? And I'm still thinking in my wholesale mind, and I'm looking at a quick check. I'm like, all right, well, let me just go ahead and try to wholesale. And realistically, people really wanted one house more than they wanted the other, right? And I didn't. I was looking at the house. The house was fine, right? And I knew, like, okay, y'all tripping. Like, at the end of the day, it's two houses, $20,000, right? So I had found a buyer out of California, and the buyer was like, all right, well, I want this house. I don't really want this house that much. I mean, you could throw it in, but like what makes this house better over here is it's got a tenant. So like once I found out, the only issue was that this house didn't have a tenant, right? But it was probably like a 2 bedroom, 1 bath, and it's like 900 square feet, right? So what I did was I'm up to three houses at this point. I was like, all right, I tell you what, you could buy this Section 8 house over here with the tenant for $25,000, right? Hey, that's a great deal. I ain't never seen nothing like that. Let's get it done, right? Well, because I didn't know if it could be real. I was like, Jeff, if he buys this house for 25,000, any way that I could just kind of keep this house over here, because I can believe it myself. And Jeff was like, Jeff is the closing attorney for those of you who don't know. Jeff was like, yes, Devontae, you can do that. I mean, there's no problem. Thinking in my head, and like, I don't know if y'all seen some of the memes with like the little math things going off. And I'm like, so you telling me I can get a free house, or I can almost get paid to buy a house?
A free house.
And like once I found that out, we got that done. So I got my first free house doing it that way. So now I'm up. Right? I took the check that I made from wholesale. I got paid to buy the house actually. So I took the check from what I got from wholesaling, and I put it in the house, right? And next thing you know, I got that house rented out. So now I got four houses, right? I got four houses at the time. And it took off from there, right? So along, like still getting capital from that. I ran into another one where the lady, it was a subject property, and this is how I switched into birds. It was a subject to property that was over in the Huffman area. A lot of the people don't know here in Birmingham, and I might be giving a secret, but it's all good. Y'all taught me to be.
That's what we're about, man. We're about giving nuggets here, man.
The unique niche and area to focus on in the city of Pam for a long time. C plus properties or B properties in like your 35235s, 35215s, where people have, without the ability to be able to rehab it to the standard to tap into that equity, right, which creates a gap, right? But nobody at this time, especially in the market properties, because they were not the 21, right? They don't have an equity to sell it at that asking. So there are houses that you can imagine here in the city of Birmingham that are those, then there are us as buyers, then there are us as investors, right? So that's blue ocean stuff there, right? So what I learned from that ordeal was, okay, I need to stop attacking it from the wholesale angle. And the lady, she was just tired, right? She was tired of walking up the steps, right? She wanted
It was
to
a lot of steps.
downsize because she was getting older. So or a solution, right? Because yeah, it was a lot of steps. I remember me talking to her, basically agree to subject to, right? Now it's a whole little phase. I still don't have the capital that I hope to have had, but she decided to go ahead with a subject to, and trust me, it's my first one. Don't know what I'm doing from a can of paint, right? Um but next thing you know, like I walked her through it, told her that I would end up just taking over the note. She had asked me to give her $5,000 up front. Now, where was I gonna get the $5,000 from? I don't know. I went down to my knees and asked the Holy Spirit because I ain't have it. But that's where that was my first time raising private capital, right? So like I went to somebody and I told them, if you give me $5,000, what I do is I give you 20% on top of your $5,000 in 3 months, right? If you do this, I give you 20% 3 months, right? They gave me the opportunity of that, right? Being my first investor at that time. And we closed on She came back and she said that God started talking to her. And instead of 5,000, she was gonna need 10,000. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess we're gonna have to raise another $5,000. So what I did was I negotiated to where I would give 5,000 up front, and then I'll give you 5,000 on the back end once we dispose of the property, right? So whether it be through selling it or whenever we get rid of the property, we'll give you $5,000. So she agreed, and next thing you know, I got my first subject to property. So now I'm up to 5 houses, right? I'm up to 5 houses, and I got in trouble with this one because the lady was ready. She wanted to refi herself out, or she wanted to get out of the house because she wanted to buy another property, right? So this is how I fell in the bird. Um, I was kind of stuck on the wall, and I didn't know anything at this point about refinancing, not to the biggest T. But I started researching like how to basically. I don't even remember how I got to this point. I think I asked you, Tonio, I asked both of y'all, like, what do I need to do in order to get her out of this loan, right? And I was looking at certain different ways, but here's the cool part, right? I was able to, long story short, I was able to refinance that house, and I got it appraised at that time, and it appraised for like 145. Right now, I didn't structure the subject to deal with her to where I think my mortgage, like all in after everything, was around $85,000. Right? And then I did a 75% loan refinance. So I was able to pull capital out of that, right? Make sure my lenders was taken care of, gave her $5,000 on the back end. Her name is off of it. Now I got another rental. And long story short, we ended up lease optioning that one. The tenants didn't end up buying it. I put it up for rent for a minute, but then I ended up selling that property, right? And made a big old spread on it because it ended up selling for like 175. Right. So like I was in 85 and I had no money in, but I had pulled money out, right? And then I ended up selling it like for 175 to an end buyer. So I'm like, okay, all right. Well, I think I want to do this from now on. This is what I want to do. And then I started researching what burring is. And here I am. So what I've been doing, just moving forward, is burring. That's all. That's really been my strategy, burring. But the way that I burn, excuse me, is uniquely different, right? I burn based off of making sure that I get properties at 50% to 65% of the ARV, so that once I refinance, I actually make capital. And it's never a thing to where I'm putting any of my money in, because what I was able to do was find a hard money lender that would finance me up to, as long as it's 70% or 75% of the ARV, they'll give me 100% the rehab and the purchase, right? And I would fix the house with none of my funds except for closing costs. I fixed the house, and then what they would do is I would just refinance 80% into a commercial loan. And I've been following this strategy to its T, right? But I got me and start because getting money. The cool part about it was more because capital.
You're going out on us, Lee.
Hold up, Lee. Pause for a second.
To the I act like, hey, it is auction. Now, is there any way not cap? And the lender was like, man, that. Oh no! Can you hear me?
You going in and out on us?
Can you hear me?
We hear you.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah,
yes,
we hear you.
We hear you now. Yep.
Hold up.
Go ahead. You had another question.
You kind of froze on our end.
Shani said, so Lee is using the BRRRR strategy to buy his rental portfolio. So Shani, what Lee is doing is he is securing the house. He's getting a fix and flip loan from the lender. And after he puts some final touches on it to bring it back up to its maximum ARV value, he is refinancing using the BRRRR strategy. Refinancing. He didn't say if he was doing a bridge or a 30-year, but if I'm not mistaken, he's doing 30 years for his rental portfolio. So after he buys it, renovates it, then he BRRRRs out. Well, he refinances out. So yes, he's using the BRRRR strategy.
Go out and come back, Lee. Let's see if we get better if you go out and come back. We'll talk for a minute. We got some more questions up here. What type of property? B, C. So to answer your question, Miss Joy, in real estate, we kind of break it up by A, B, C, D categories. And what Lee was really focusing on, which we also focus on, is C plus to B properties. Those are the properties that usually have the biggest gap when it comes to what the maximum AV is versus what they owe on the property. And there's usually a good amount of rent that goes along with it. So when you can get into those areas, the values are good, the rents are good, and it allows you to consistently do those type of deals. The one thing about it is you can find deals in the D areas, you can find deals in the A areas that cash flow and that meet the DSCR. but you can consistently find them in C plus to B areas. So that's the key to it. If you want to consistently do it, you have to find those properties and buy them right, rehab them right, so that you can pull out those funds in the deals. Lee coming back. Let me see. He adjusted. That's one for Lee. Been there. There's some good stuff coming, man. Lee giving y'all so much. It's so good to hear him talk, because it's like our reincarnation all over, and the things we used to say out loud, he just ate them up, and he actually multiplied them and added on.
You're absolutely welcome. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe. If you're on YouTube, make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you like the video if you want to see more of these, where we are giving you midday boosts to really get you going. Make sure you like it and share it with others. Add you back in.
All right, cool. Can y'all hear me?
We hear
you. We hear you good now. We hear you a lot better.
All right. Perfect. So I know I kind of went on a tangent because I get so excited about that strategy, because it has allowed me to to springboard so fast the way that I have. But I would never have gotten to that point if I did not learn to really truly value my real estate. And I learned that from y'all. So if I had one piece of advice to those who are looking to kind of get in and really kind of do the strategy that I have come up with at that point, is to really understand and value your areas. The area is very, very important because it still has to have some form of appreciation. So it's got to be an appreciating area. And then you also, for me, you have to be aware of the debt service coverage ratio. So 1.25 is not going to work for you if you plan on still having some cash flow too. You better be looking for something that's going to be at 1.4 or 1.5. And the reason being is because, and for those who don't know what debt service coverage ratio is the amount of basically debt that is covered via the rent that you receive, right? So lenders usually want to see that the rent that you receive is around at least 1.2 times the debt. So just to make sure that it's covered. But you need to be around at least 1.4 or 1.5 to still have cash flow, because the reason being is because at the end of the day, when you deal in the single family world, you tend to have a lot of issues with things breaking. Like I can tell you today, I just got a call this morning about some electrical issues at one of my rental properties, right? And if you don't bake in your maintenance issues or your CapEx, right, or don't have enough, then you won't survive doing this type of strategy. So that's kind of what I've been doing recently. Now, what got me into apartment buildings is taking what I learned from the Burr method, and I got tired of what I just told y'all, which is a HVAC breaking, and they say, all of my cash flow for the year is gone, right? I had one time, y'all, and I don't know if I ever told anybody that's listening, when a freeze comes, God bless you, because for me, a freeze happened. I don't remember what year it was. I think it was maybe 2 years ago, and I had 3 properties where everybody's water main bust, right? So no cash flow that year for sure. It was the worst year ever. But what I learned from that was, okay, well, I knew I wanted to get into commercial real estate and get into bigger units. So I had to sit down one day, and I was just like, all right, well, I was up to 8 units at this point. I had bought a building, and we're going to talk about that too. We're going to talk about that because that was one experience. But I bought a building. I had probably had up to about 10 units at that point, or 10 houses. And I squared it down to 8. I sold some. And I sat down and I told myself, look, Monte, I had to get rid of these limiting beliefs. Limiting beliefs they happen. You just got to learn how to fight them. And I told myself, I can own 8 units. I can own an 8 unit, right? And it made no sense to nobody else, but I started talking to myself like that. I said, if I can own 8 units, I can own an 8 unit. And next thing you know, God put it into my life. A wholesaler brought a deal to me. I had one under contract, but it needed too much work before. And then this one came, and the deal was I won't say it was too good to be true, because I know the difference now between home runs, grand slams. You know, grand slams are gonna keep you in the business, and home runs are going to excel you in the business. So it was a nice it was a base hit. It was a nice base hit, and the numbers on it were good. And old saying is, he who hesitates will always be left at the starting gate. So what I did was I
Say
tried to
that
prime
again. Say that
myself
again.
now.
Say that again. Say that again.
He who hesitates will always be left at the starting gate. So when I see that it's a deal, like, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get it. I'm gonna lock it up. I'm gonna make it happen, right? Because most of it is shortening down the time frame from analysis paralysis to actually being active and taking action, right? It's our unique ability to shorten that down is what creates success. So that really kind of helped me. And if I had known that, I probably would have got into multifamily a lot longer or a lot faster than I did. So now I'm taking that same strategy and I've changed it to really kind of focus on commercial real estate, doing the same method that I'm doing as far as burn is concerned. With where we sit right now in the market, it really didn't concern me the most part because it's a unique time for me to have more opportunities, especially on the multifamily front as an operator, because that's kind of mainly what I'm looking to kind of focus on, especially during this time. I can tell you this. One thing that I've discovered when it comes to multifamily is it is a lot more easier to operate than it has been my single families because number one, the economies of scale, and then number two, the ability to have everything under one roof. And then the cash flow. So I changed my cash flow metric to everything has to be from now on $10,000 a year and before tax cash flow. So that's cash flow to me. If it ain't making me 10 grand a year at minimum, I don't want to do it no more. So that's all I look for is multifamily
So,
properties or uh
okay. So I think a lot of people are watching are new, they're beginners. So they may not be at that 10,000 minimum. So what would you recommend somebody that's just starting? What would you recommend that first cash flow to be?
all right, that's cool. So when I was first looking and first getting into real estate, I would listen to Bigger Pockets all the time. And Bigger Pockets talks about when you look for a deal, especially on a single family side, and you're levering it or leveraging it with debt, you need to at least be making at minimum 200 to 250 bucks a door. So you do that 250 or 200 bucks a door. Let's say 200 bucks times 12 is at least 2,400 bucks a year, and that's in your pocket. So that's after your maintenance, that's after your set asides, your reserves, your property management. You need to at least be making 2,400 2,500 a year as far as cash flow is concerned, or 200 bucks a month.
All right.
Okay.
So, man, we're gonna have to do a part two to this.
Absolutely.
All right. So just be aware that a part two is coming in the next 20 days. All right. But I'm gonna ask you this one question before we get out of here. What is your why? With all the
Ooh.
success you have, with the challenges, with the failures, what is Devontae Lee's why?
Ooh.
That's a great question. I appreciate you for asking me that. And I made my why pretty simple. Like, my why is my legacy. And I used to hear people say that all of the time. And like, it sounded good. It was very cliche at the time, especially when somebody would ask me. But the older I get and some of the sacrifices that I made and that I've been through, my why has become bigger than me just having a bunch of units, right? So, like, to be transparent, it got to a point where I was just really starting to collect things. I had become a collector as opposed to really being passionate about what I was doing. But my why simply became my legacy, more so in the fact of not the things that I own, but more so the people that I could serve. Like, the people who remember me for being who I am and how I impacted them, right? So the real estate and the properties, to be transparent, all of that stuff is just a byproduct, right, of me living in my God-given purpose, right, and doing what God has called me to do. But my legacy is, the amount of people that can sit back and say that, I helped them kind of start their journey, or I helped them just basically having my name and having my family's name be represented in a way of servanthood, right? So I try to pride myself at the most part now, right, and making sure that I do everything that I need to do to be successful now, more so due to the fact that when you see a Lee boy or when you see Devontae Lee, that that he's impacted your life in a way that he's been entrenched in it in a way that he's helped you move forward in your life, right? So basically being able to benefit and help at the same time for those who are around me. So being a beacon of hope, right? So I can remember calling you big uncle and big auntie, and now I'm starting to turn over into big uncle, right? And I didn't realize it was like it was a trade off type thing. So like for where I sit, like it's that I find more uniqueness out of that. And I like to do cool stuff like build buildings, right? So like that's cool to me. But that's just a trophy. And trophies, they don't do nothing. You can't take them when you go. They sit on the basically on the mantle, and then they end up getting cobwebs. But when I get called home, whenever that happens, the ability for me to get to the gates and for God to say, well done, my good and faithful servant, because that's going to be the only name that I'm going to be called by at that point in time is very good. So in order for me to be that, my legacy has to be filled with servitude. So that's what I focus on, just kind of here in this life that I have. So that's my why.
I remember, man. You and Eddie, y'all had started doing things. Y'all had started making money, and it was kind of a could y'all give me something? Could y'all do something for me? And it was I always said the same thing. Whenever you grow up, whenever you mature, I don't want your money. I just want you to help somebody else grow. And man, I'm glad to hear you say that, because you took it and you are running with it. And you brought people to REI Live. You've helped people get into wholesaling, and I see it. And it makes me so happy to know that we are building a legacy and a generation of people that can actually help their family, man. So keep doing what you're doing.
Absolutely.
And God bless you.
Absolutely.
No doubt.
Tonio kind of took what I was going to say.
I got it.
You did. But just to piggyback, and the amount of information that you give in X Flipper Academy, like I can't thank you enough, because you don't have to, but you do it. You know what I mean? Yeah. You don't have to, but you share your experiences, you share what you've been through to help others who are trying to get into the business and really get their foot in the door. So
you know why, Auntie? Because I be failing and I don't be having nobody to talk to. So since I be failing and don't have nobody to talk to, I'm gonna drop it right in there and be like, y'all know what happened to me today? They tried to pull this,
But that's exactly what it's for.
Yeah, so man, keep doing what you're doing. And I think it is so important that you continue to stay connected to the family, because you're blessing them, they're blessing you. And it's nothing like being around a like-minded people that can help you get through those tough times.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because your average everyday person is not going to get it. They're not going to understand your why. They're not going to understand why you choosing to sacrifice some things so that you can get this property, or so that you can get a building. Your average person isn't going to understand it. They're not going to want to sacrifice the same things that you had to sacrifice to get to where you are. But the people who are in the family will definitely understand.
And when we get ready to go, last thing, like, I'm gonna be honest with you. If you weren't you, I don't know if we are who we are today, because it was helping you and seeing your transformation and your success that really opened our eyes to, like, we really gotta package this up to help people because like you was doing it and you was helping, but it's like, damn, like the impact that we've had on his life, it ain't even no number you can put on it. So let's continue, let's reframe it, let's organize it because we've seen some ways we help, but we've seen some ways we could have been better too. So it was like, let's organize it, and that's how we even become ex-flipper and get into the coaching world because we seen your success and we were like, wow, it's amazing that with the little guidance what people can do.
And I don't even think I really thought you was gonna do real estate because you would like gun ho tell me, no, I'm a coach. Yeah, that's not. I'm just doing it for fun. This is an internship.
Yeah. But you know what? You
I
had to
always
cuss
knew
me
that.
out. You had look. She had to cuss me out though. She
You know, we
been
did a
trying to
few
be
times.
nice in front of these folks, but she cussed me out real good. So, hey, it worked out. I can tell you this. I can tell both of y'all this. Like to go from like not going to class and having negative $45,000 in net worth, right? But in like 5 years to be able to like I grew my portfolio, and the reason why I know this number is because I was talking to my banker, and like I had to put it on I had to put it on bank statements, but like we sat there and we added it up, and for the first time when I saw like 1.7 million, and I was like, who got 1.7 million, you know? And
Drop
like,
the mic.
yeah. So to be 29 and like to see where I've come from in such a short period of time with like no money, no rich family, but just really kind of pure hustle and being around folk that care about you. Like, you know, I am a product of y'all, right? So like the love and the strength and everything that y'all show, right, is I'm the testament to that, you know, and I'm forever grateful, you know. So like that's why I always try my best to just really kind of be there as much as I can. It's hard now because like I manage all of my stuff by myself because I ain't that big yet. But you know, when I do have the time, I still try to serve. You know, but it wouldn't be possible. Like I literally wouldn't be sitting here to be honest with y'all and have a net worth and realistically be where I thought I wouldn't be. It don't feel like it. I don't even want to say what it is, but y'all know what I'm talking about. But be where I thought I would be at the age of 30, saying what I am at that, you know what? I gotta stop doing that. I gotta step into it. At the end of the day, I'm a millionaire, right? And like to be able to be a millionaire at 29 years old when I never even like I talked about it and I said it and I thought it was cool to say at that time, but I didn't really truly believe it until it actually was happening, right? But in order for me to be able to say that I'm that, right, and to be that at this age, starting from nothing, and but just by being around y'all and being attached to y'all and being a servant, you know, like you challenged me one time, Tonio. Like we were sitting around and you was like, you selfish, right? I'm like, this man, I know he ain't called me selfish. Like I wasn't pulling that sheetrock off the walls and getting rat poop in my eyes, right? But like it wasn't necessarily you saying that I was selfish as a person. What you were telling me at that time, and it took like maturity and growth on my side was I was being selfish with who I am and the light that I am to other people, right? Not giving the light that I have and the blessings that have been bestowed upon me to those around me, right? So in a sense, yeah, I was selfish. I was, and you know, when I stopped being that way and I just started giving it away, like God bless me like beyond measure, you know. And like I told you, that's just another way that y'all help shape and change my life. So I'm grateful.
We're grateful.
I can't even say nothing, man. You got me about to cry, man.
Yeah,
man, you got me about to cry, man. Because I remember, and it is, and to be just to be transparent, like when you are in a position of helping and guiding, a lot of times for me personally, that's not who I am. I'm not that person, but I understand that accountability is important, and somebody got to say something to somebody, and it hurt me to tell you that more than it hurt you to listen to it, but I knew you had to hear it for your growth and your maturity to allow God to continue to bless you. So it's good to hear later. I mean, it's years later that you like, that really stuck with you, man.
Yeah.
That was I'm done. I can't talk to you anymore. It's time to go.
Lee, we absolutely love you. Thank you for coming on the Midday Explosion. You guys make sure you share, you like, you subscribe, and we're gonna have to do a part 2 of this Midday Explosion because we are running out of time.
Let's go, man.
Love you, Lee.
Thank you. Appreciate it,
love y'all. All right, have a good rest of your day.
Yo.
You
too.